You're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's Voice to the World. I'm Lapakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to host his UK counterpart Keir Starmer in Mumbai today to hold talks, trade, climate, defence and security on top of the agenda. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend the 6th edition of the Global Fintech Fest along with UK Prime Minister Starmer in Mumbai, a global forum for financial policy dialogue and cooperation. Israel and Hamas deadlock ends. Trump says both agree to first phase of Gaza peace plan and hostage release. The unbeaten Indian women's cricket team will take on South Africa in group stage of the ongoing ICC Women's ODI World Cup. And on to the details now. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Mumbai for a landmark two-day visit to India, leading a big 125-member trade delegation. Now, Mumbai gave a special welcome to Prime Minister Starmer. The visit further strengthens the UK-India partnership following the July 2025 trade deal, focusing on trade, technology, defence and innovation, aiming to boost economic growth and deepen strategic ties between both the nations. There's more in this report.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in India for a two-day visit. He's leading a big 125-member team. This is his first visit since becoming UK PM. The trip builds on the new UK-India trade deal signed in July 2025, which cuts tariffs and creates more business opportunities in both the countries. Before the visit, Starmer called the deal a launchpad for growth, intending to strengthen business and strategic ties with India. On Thursday, PM Starmer and PM Narendra Modi will review progress under the UK-India Strategic Partnership and Vision 2030 plan. They will focus on trade, technology, defence, energy, health and education. Later, both leaders will attend the CEO Forum and speak at the Global Fintech Fest in Mumbai. The event focuses on using AI and innovation in finance and will host over 100,000 people from 75 plus countries. India and the UK share strong economic ties with a shared goal of faster economic growth and closer cooperation. India-UK Free Trade Agreement signed to boost trade and reduce tariffs. FTA offers zero duty access on 99% of tariff lines for Indian exports. UK's GDP expected to rise £4.8 billion annually due to the FTA. Tariffs on UK whiskey and cars to reduce gradually over 10 years. India-UK Joint Economic and Trade Committee drives trade and investment cooperation. Defence cooperation includes joint military exercises and technology sharing. UK is India's sixth largest investor with over $35 billion invested. Indian diaspora in UK employs 174,000 and owns 65,000 companies. Education ties include 170,000 Indian students in UK and new university campuses planned. Migration partnership enables easier professional movement between India and UK. The UK-India partnership is entering a new era of growth and collaboration. With strong trade ties, defence cooperation and people-to-people connections, both nations are set to deepen economic, strategic and cultural bonds, building a prosperous future together for decades to come. Mohammad Absarul Hassan for DD India.
And India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal and Peter Kyle, the UK Secretary of State for Business and Trade, held a meeting in Mumbai to chart a renewed course for the India-UK trade and investment partnership. Well, the meeting marked a significant step towards operationalizing the India-UK Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, with both ministers agreeing to reposition the Joint Economic and Trade Committee to oversee its implementation and delivery. Now, both the sides underlined their commitment to ensuring swift, coordinated and results-oriented implementation of the agreement. The ministers reaffirmed their shared ambition to double bilateral trade by the year 2030. Ahead of the meetings, a series of sectoral roundtables were held across priority sectors, including advanced manufacturing, consumer goods, food and drink, science, technology and innovation, construction, infrastructure and clean energy, and financial, professional and business services. Now, the India-UK CEO Forum was also held, bringing together business leaders from both countries to discuss new opportunities for trade, investment and innovation. And Yash Raj Film, India's leading film production and distribution company, have confirmed plans to bring their major productions to locations across the United Kingdom from early 2026. Now, to mark the announcement, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited Yash Raj's studios in Mumbai on Wednesday alongside a delegation of some of Britain's biggest names in film, including the British Film Institute, the British Film Commission, Pinewood Studios, S3 Studios and Civic Studios. Yash Raj Studio completes 20 years of operations in India on 12th of October. India is the largest producer of films in the world, and Yash Raj's commitment follows an 8-year hiatus from filming in the UK, showcasing the impact the UK-India trade deal is already having. Also, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer lit diyas in Mumbai on Wednesday, symbolizing the deep cultural ties between India and the United Kingdom as the Diwali festival approaches. The lighting of diyas came as part of Starmer's first official visit to India, marking an important milestone in India-UK relations.
Excuse me, sorry.
Well, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and legendary footballer Michael Owen visited Mumbai's Cooperage football ground on Wednesday and interacted with young Indian footballers and a few coaches during a Premier League Community Showcase event focusing on the Community Coach Development Programme, a collaboration between the English Premier League and the British Council that aims to expand access to the sport for social groups across India. And the Western Indian city of Mumbai on Wednesday received a long-awaited gift. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated Phase 1 of the Navi Mumbai International Airport, marking a new chapter in India's aviation expansion. While the Prime Minister also dedicated key infrastructural projects that promise to redefine urban mobility and connectivity in India's financial capital.
Prime Minister Modi inaugurated Phase 1 of the Navi Mumbai International Airport, which is Mumbai's second international airport and India's largest greenfield aviation project. Spread across 1,160 hectares, the airport will handle up to 90 million passengers and 3.25 million metric tons of cargo annually. The facility features a dedicated sustainable aviation fuel hub of 47 megawatt solar power capacity and EV bus connectivity to the city. The Prime Minister hailed the rapid growth of India's aviation sector, noting that the number of airports has more than doubled from 74 in 2014 to 160 today.
इस नए एयरपोर्ट से महाराष्ट्र के किसान यूरोप और मिडिल ईस्ट के सुपरमार्केट से भी जुड़ जाएंगे। यानी किसान की ताजा उपज, फल, फूल, सब्जी और मछुआरों के उत्पाद तेजी से ग्लोबल मार्केट तक पहुंच पाएंगे।
PM Modi also dedicated final phase of Mumbai's Metro Line 3 to the nation. Built at a cost of over 37,270 crore, the 33.5-kilometer Aqua Line runs from Cuff Parade to Array via 27 stations and will serve around 1.3 million commuters daily. The Prime Minister took a swipe at Maharashtra's previous government for stalling the project during its tenure.
देश में एक ऐसी राजनीतिक धारा भी रही है जो जनता की सुविधा नहीं, सत्ता की सुविधा को ऊपर रखती है। ये वो लोग हैं जो विकास के काम में रुकावट डालते हैं, घोटाले घपले करके विकास के जुड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स को पटरी से उतार देते हैं। दशकों तक देश ने ऐसे नुकसान को देखा है।
The Prime Minister launched the unified Mumbai One mobility app, integrating 11 public transport operators and rolled out a new employment readiness program for Maharashtra. He also unveiled the short-term employability program under Maharashtra's Skill Development Department to be implemented across 400 government ITIs and 150 technical high schools, aimed at aligning youth skills with industry demand and enhancing job readiness. With these projects, Mumbai takes a giant leap towards becoming a cleaner, more connected and future-ready metropolis. Bureau Report, TT India.
And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is on Australia visit aimed at strengthening defence and strategic cooperation between the two nations. During his visit, Rajnath Singh was welcomed by Australia's Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles at the Parliament House in Canberra. A welcome to country smoke ceremony was also held at the Australian Parliament to honour and welcome Rajnath Singh. The ceremony was part of a reconciliation process as it acknowledged the traditional ownership of the land and involved Aboriginal Australians in events that take place on their traditional lands. Earlier, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh was on board KC-30A Australian Royal Australian Air Force multi-role tanker transport aircraft. He witnessed the air-to-air refuelling of F-35 while travelling from Sydney to Canberra. India and Australia had signed an agreement allowing the Royal Australian Air Force, that is RAF, and the Indian Armed Forces to conduct air-to-air refuelling in 2024. And New Delhi will host the 8th International Solar Alliance's Assembly from 27th to 30th of October. DD India's Akhilesh Suman spoke to the Director General of the International Solar Alliance on activities and agenda for the future. Take a look.
Director General of International Solar Alliance, Mr. Ashish Khanna is with me. Mr. Khanna, how do you see India's contribution in International Solar Alliance? Because India has been one of the founders and headquarters is based in Delhi.
First of all, thank you for having me, Akhilesh. You know, success breeds success. So India is now world's third largest solar power, and it has achieved its 2030 target 5 years in advance. So when an organization like ISA, stationed in India, born out of Indian initiative, takes this message, then it is much more credible. So we are trying to take the policies, regulations, both for solar rooftop, for solar pumps and agriculture to the rest of the world, in addition to a lot of human capability of how India's manpower has managed to make this transition. All of that is being taken to 124 countries.
COP is going to be, organized in Brazil. So what is the agenda that International Solar Alliance is going to put forward in the COP?
You know, the main agenda for COP now is people want to move out of workshops and conferences to real projects. And ISA's own strategy of moving from ambition to action goes exactly on that line. So 2 programs of ISA, one is on small island developing states, where 16 island states are come together to do a joint e-procurement of solar and batteries, will be showcased in Belem. And secondly, a digitization, because we are taking all the digital experiences of utilities of India now to Brazil and Africa. Both these are the highlights of COP in Belem.
And finally, how do you see the contribution of ISA in coming days?
As I mentioned, because the world has moved from 1,000 gigawatt in 25 years of solar to 2,000 in just 2 years, and we are likely to double 2,000 to 4,000 in just another 2-3 years. All of that is testimony that solar with batteries is the future of energy security for most countries. Our role becomes important because 80% of all new investments in next 5 years will happen in solar. Our job is that this pace is sustained and increased, and more importantly, smaller countries, low-income countries that are still not seeing enough solar start getting a lot more benefit of solar as well. That is a role, and how do we do it? We create platforms where countries can come together and work together.
Thank you so much, sir. So, Mr. Khanna is telling that International Solar Alliance has to play a vital role, in the field of renewable energy. Akhilesh Suman with camera person Naveen Kumar in Delhi for DD India.
Well, the 76th Raising Day of the Territorial Army of India is being celebrated today. It was on October 9th in 1949 that its formal inauguration was done by the first Governor General C. Rajagopalachari. But did you know the significance of this day? What is the Territorial Army and the role it plays? We'll tell you about that in here.
The 76th Raising Day of the Territorial Army of India is being celebrated today. It was on October 9th in 1949 that its formal inauguration was done by the first Governor General C. Rajagopalachari. But did you know the significance of this day? What is the Territorial Army and the role it plays? We'll tell you about that here. First up, what is the Territorial Army? The Territorial Army, also known as the Terriers, is considered the second line of national defense after the regular army. It comprises of citizens who hold full-time civilian jobs, but when the nation calls, they trade their suit for the camouflage. At present, the Territorial Army has approximately 50,000 personnel comprising of 65 departmental and non-departmental units with presence across the country. So how, why and when was the Territorial Army formed? The Territorial Army in its present form came into existence on 18th of August 1948 after the enactment of the Territorial Army Act. C. Rajagopalachari, India's first Governor General, formally launched the Territorial Army on 19th October 1949. Since then, the day has been celebrated and recognized as the Territorial Army Raising Day. But the idea of forming the Territorial Army came before India's independence. On August 27, 1920, Sir Charles Monro, Commander-in-Chief of the Army in India, introduced a bill in the Indian Legislative Council for the formation of an Indian Territorial Army, which was duly passed. In his statement of objects and reasons, he stated that the Indian Defence Force 1917 was merely an experimental measure due to the shortage of the trained personnel and the heavy demands on the regular army. The Indian Territorial Army was intended to form a second line of defence to the regular army. Moving on to the role played by the Territorial Army. The Territorial Army plays a crucial role in relieving the regular army from static duties, assisting civil administration during natural calamities, and providing units for the regular army when needed. Territorial Army units have provided active service in the Northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, and on India's western and northern borders. The force was also part of the Indian Peacekeeping Force in Sri Lanka from 29th of July 1987 to 24th of March 1990. Full of valor, sacrifice and commitment, this is a force to reckon with. This is the Indian Territorial Army.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Petro claims the US bombed a Colombian vessel in Caribbean. White House dismisses allegation. US government shutdown enters 8th day as Senate deadlock deepens and travel disruptions grow. And gold surges past $4,000 an ounce as global uncertainty drives safe haven rush.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching TT India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on. US President Donald Trump on Wednesday announced that both Israel and Hamas had agreed on the first phase of his Gaza peace plan. Now, Trump in a social media post announced that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable and everlasting peace. Now, Trump also thanked mediators Qatar, Egypt and Turkey, adding, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Trump said earlier that a deal was almost done and that he may travel to Egypt this weekend, possibly leaving as soon as Saturday.
Peace for the Middle East. It's a beautiful phrase, and we hope it's going to come true, but it's very close. And they're doing very well. We have a great team over there, great negotiators, and there are unfortunately great negotiators on the other side also. But it's something I think that will happen, got a good chance of happening. I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on Sunday, actually.
Well, the US president later told the Fox News that hostages held in Gaza will probably be released on Monday. He further said that Gaza will be rebuilt after the completion of phase 1 of the deal. Also, Israel and Hamas agreed on Thursday to the first phase of a Gaza ceasefire aimed at ending the Gaza conflict. The deal to be signed on Thursday includes the release of hostages and prisoners, as well as a surge of aid into Gaza after more than 2 years of conflict started by Hamas's unprecedented October 2023 attack on Israel. Meanwhile, mediators said Israel and Hamas had reached a deal for a hostage prisoner exchange and aid entry into Gaza. Qatar's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari in a social media post said that an agreement was reached on all the provisions and implementation mechanisms of the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire agreement, which will lead to ending the conflict, the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, and the entry of aid. He further added that the details will be announced later. Now, Hamas also confirmed it had reached an agreement to end the conflict, saying the deal includes an Israeli withdrawal from the enclave and a hostage prisoner exchange. Hamas leaders also called on Trump and guarantor states to ensure Israel fully implements the ceasefire. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday said Israel would bring home all the hostages held by Hamas in Gaza after US President and mediators reported a deal to end the Gaza conflict. Now, Netanyahu in a social media post said he would convene the government on Thursday to approve the Gaza ceasefire agreement aimed at bringing home all the Israeli hostages. Netanyahu also thanked Israeli troops and US President Donald Trump and his team for their mobilization for the sacred mission of releasing the hostages. And the US government remains in shutdown with no resolution in sight after the Senate failed on Wednesday to pass either a Republican or Democratic-backed short-term funding bill. Now, the vote marked the 6th unsuccessful attempt to extend federal funding as the shutdown enters its 8th day now. Lawmakers in the Senate rejected a House-passed continuing resolution that would have funded the government through November 21st. The vote was 54-45, falling short of the 60 votes needed to advance the legislation. The Senate also rejected the Democrats' version of the funding bill, which included health care provisions. Now, with both the proposals failing, Congress remains deadlocked, leaving federal programs and workers in limbo. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump warned this week that furloughed federal workers may not receive back pay once the shutdown ends, diverging sharply from the president. He also threatened layoffs and cuts to government programs if the stalemate continues.
How will you decide which workers get back pay and which workers do not?
Well, we're going to see. Most of them are going to get back pay, and we're going to try and make sure of that. But some of them are being hurt very badly by the Democrats, and they therefore won't qualify.
And Colombia's President Gustavo Petro suggested the latest vessel in the Caribbean bombed by the United States may have been Colombian with Colombian citizens aboard. Now, meanwhile, the White House rebuffed Petro's comments. U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday announced the latest in a series of military strikes targeting drug trafficking vessels off the coast of Venezuela, although the Pentagon has yet to confirm any such strike happened on Saturday. If verified, Petro's assertion would bring Colombia into the fray of a campaign which had previously targeted Venezuelan boats. There have been at least 4 such strikes in recent weeks, and the Trump administration says 21 people have been killed in the operations. The attacks have inflamed tensions in the region, and Washington called off diplomatic outreach to Venezuela on October 6th. And on to some business news now. Gold topped $4,000 an ounce for the first time on Wednesday as investors flocked to the safe haven metal on worries over the U.S. government shutdown, France's political crisis and other global economic uncertainties. Now, U.S. and European stock markets rose while Asian markets fell as investors also kept tabs on the AI investment boom and the prospect of further U.S. interest rate cuts this year. Now, futures market expect the Fed to cut interest rates later this month. And on to some sports news now. The unbeaten Indian women's cricket team will take on South Africa in group stage of the ongoing ICC Women's ODI World Cup on Thursday. India sits comfortably at the second spot in the points table with 2 consecutive victories. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.